Can you change the CC numbers via Belcanto?
Yes, we can. Yes, we can actually. Let me just remind myself how. So
I'm just going to go. Sorry, some outdoor.
Is that not just? Yeah. Okay.
I'm just going to.
Sorry, one sec. I can tell you how to change the channel position. Continuous. There we go. Continuous number. Okay. All right. So we've just got a screen of my Eigencommander. So yeah, we can. I'm assuming we're talking about on the alpha and tau. This is anyway precisely. So the agent that we need to talk to is called a MIDI controller, and so we've got two MIDI outputs on the alpha and tau: MIDI output 1 and MIDI output 2. MIDI controller 1 is the name of the agent that corresponds to MIDI output 1. And MIDI controller 2 is the name of the agent that corresponds to MIDI output 2. Okay, so I'm going to first of all type MIDI controller 1 hey. Let me zoom in on that. MIDI controller 1 hey. So the next line I type, the only thing that's going to respond to that is MIDI controller 1. And then, okay, so how the MIDI controller works is it takes the signals from the strip controller and the breath controller and outputs them as MIDI CC to the MIDI output. So the MIDI controller actually has several inputs in it. So they're like continuous input 1, 2, 3, 4, and it has the corresponding outputs, which are MIDI CCs. It could be anything, but it happens to be in the factory setups that input 1 is strip controller 1, input 2 is strip controller 2, and input 3 is the breath controller. So say we wanted to change strip controller 1, which is input 1, we wanted to say, okay, I want to send that out on MIDI CC 100. So what we say is continuous number 1, I hope this is right, so continuous number 1, so that's input 1 basically, 2, TO, to 100. So I want this to be MIDI CC 100 and set. So that's continuous number 1 to 100 set. Cross my fingers, I hope I got this right. Zoom out, and yes, down here, so it's got continuous number 1 to 100 set. I'm just going to double check I got that right. So I've got this little application, I don't know if you guys used it, it's really good, from MIDI Monitor by like Snooze or something like that. So this tells me whatever MIDI I've got coming in and out of my computer. So I'm going to zoom in there. Do you want to get my Eigen in? Yeah. So I'm going to choose MIDI output 1. So I was talking to MIDI controller 1, that corresponds to MIDI output 1. And hopefully, so I'm moving strip controller 1 up and down. You can see there's a load of messages that are coming up on here. That's the problem. Registered parameter LSB5. It doesn't give me the actual CC number, it's just giving me the name. Don't know if that's 1 second. Let me see if I can. Yeah, there we go. So I've changed the view, so it's in CT numbers instead. But you can see I'm moving strip controller 1 up and down. Hopefully you can see that. I'll zoom right in. So it's now MIDI controller 100. So I could do the same thing for the breath. Go back to Eigencommander. I say a MIDI controller 1 hey. MIDI controller 1 hey. Do you see that?
Make it bigger.
Yeah, MIDI controller 1 hey. And then I'll say, input 1 is strip controller 1, input 2 is strip controller 2, and input 3 is the breath controller. So I've already said MIDI controller 1 hey, that's output 1. I say continuous number 2 to, oh no, I'm going to do the breath controller, so that's number 3. Continuous number 3 to, let's do like the mod wheel, so to 1 set. So down in the right, MIDI controller 1 hey, looks all good. Continuous number 3 to 1 set. Now I'm going to go back to my MIDI monitor thing. Oh no, I don't have a breath pipe. Oh, this one, can you pass that back? That's cool. All right. now if I blow, we've got data number 1. So there you go, zoom right in. There we go. Okay, so hopefully that answers the question. Is that all good?
Man said, eh. I'm not quite sure if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Is that a good thing or a bad? Eh.
Excellent.
Well, excellent. That's
cool.
Good for that one.
Yeah, good.
Cool. So if anybody else has any questions, quickly put those in. Just to let you know, as usual, we are running the one-to-one tuitions. So if there's something that maybe is not covered, or you want to go into a lot more detail, we can give either half an hour or an hour sessions, one-to-one over a video conferencing piece of software. They can be with either Dave here, or we have Sam and also Gert who work in our software team. Sam, obviously, I think Dave said earlier, wrote a lot of the Belcanto documentation anyway, so he's kind of like the expert Belcantoer.
Yeah.
But another question is, does it work on the Pico also?
Yes, yeah. I think, is it, you're talking about the MIDI controller thing?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. So on the Pico, there's only one MIDI out, so it's MIDI controller 1 that you're talking to. So you'd say MIDI controller 1, hey, and then obviously there's only one strip. So off the top of my head, I think continuous number 1 is strip controller, and then continuous number 2 is the breath controller. So if you wanted to change the breath controller, you'd say MIDI controller 1, hey, continuous number 2 to whatever set. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So yeah, if you have any questions for next week's seminar, it's good for Dave to get a bit of a heads up on them as well, to plan, because he'll plan them into what he's talking about a lot of the time. So do email those through to customer services at eigenlabs.com or support@eigenlabs.com. And if you want to suggest a topic as well, the one after next week, will be using the Eigenharp drummer and arranger, so that'll be probably on the alpha. If you have any other topics after that, we'd love to hear them. So do give us an email on those. And Steve Elbows, if you want to just drop an email, Dave will get back to you on that as well. Cool.
Cool.
So I don't think there's been any questions. So I think that's it.
Hey.
Cool. All right. Well, have a good night and a good weekend, and hope you all enjoy doing your
Belcanto fun. Yeah.
Belcanto fun as well.
Yeah.
Do, like we said before, check out the wiki. There is lots of great stuff on there anyway. Cool. All right. See you later. Bye.
Bye.